Now, hello there everybody, it's me Paddy from across the shock. And I was thinking how to start this video and I nearly went to say, I'm sorry, it's another Benchmade today, which would have been a horrendous lie. I'm not sorry, because it's another Benchmade that I bought and it's mine. So I'm not sorry at all. I'm so sorry. I've had a little run now of sort of more expensive knives. I will get back to more budget knives very shortly, but I just need to go through what I've got. I've been very fortunate the last couple of months. I've managed to be able to tag a really good one. I've had this one for about a month now. Um, thoroughly interesting knife. Now, it's a Benchmade, and it's the proper, and it's CPM 30V manual opener. Well, in fact, it's a slip joint. It's the 319, the Benchmade 319. Comes in the lovely blue box, which you never get tired of opening. Comes with a lovely little silk pouch in the inside. It's nothing glamorous, but it's a Benchmade box. It's well made. It's a good box. It's not flashy, but it's good. And you know it's a Benchmade straight away. So we'll get rid of the box and we'll put it up there. Now, this is the Benchmade proper. Now, it comes in three colours. It comes in a... Is it three colours? No, it's maybe only two. There's the red G10 and there's this green brown micarta, canvas micarta. This is my first knife with canvas micarta. I just put a little leather thong on it there. I'm not really one for a whole lot of lanyards, but I think it just suited it and it is easy to pull it out of the pocket. So I'll give you a little walk around the knife closed. This is a full review because I've had this for a month and I've used this for a month, so I feel as if I'm ready to give a full review on the knife. Now, let's start with the back spring. It's nicely fitted there, all the way down, no gaps, nicely fitted, little bit of jimping set down in. Looks okay. Looks okay. You've got the lanyard hole at the back. The terminus of the back is cut off well. The blade is nowhere near the end. You can't cut yourself if you look down there. You're well away from the end of it. The blade sits lovely. The blade is perfect as far as alignment goes. So all the fit and finish, I bought this off Amazon and I was quite wary of buying something off Amazon. It's the first time I'd bought an expensive knife off Amazon, but I needn't avoid. Benchmade have definitely got their fit and finish back into, in reasonable form. Really nicely finished with this canvas card micarta. I love the canvas micarta. Love it. Now, let's get real here and let's get honest. This knife's quite expensive. Say about $130, is it? Somewhere around there, say. Quite expensive. So, the back spring, although there's no gaps, if you can see now, well, you can see just the way the light's shone on that there. There is parts of the back spring where I can get... I'm just going to look over the top of the camera. I can catch with my nail. It has risen quite a bit. Let me just get that. Can you see there? It has risen a little bit. It's not something, when I'm rubbing my fingers here, I don't feel it. But there is a little bit of the back spring. It's probably better than, yeah, there you are. You can see the way it's lifted up. That's not a gap. That's the lift up from it. That's where you can get your nail and catch it. But if I hold you straight on, it's not a gap. It's very well fitted that way. It's just risen a little bit. And this is a spring. And this is a company who had never made a slip joint before. So this was their first venture into the slip joint world. Now, we'll get back to that in a wee minute. So, slip joint has got that sprung back spring. Ooh. And when you open the knife, now you can pull this. There is a nail nick. It opens up with a nail nick. And you can either use the nail nick itself. It's about a 5, I would say, in the pull. It lifts up, there's a half stop, and then to open, which is a nice, firm position. Now, back spring, perfectly flush. Still got that little risen bit that hasn't moved, which is a good sign. When it's at the half, I think it's absolutely amazing. It's still fairly well flush. And it just finishes it off when you bring it up to the close. Lovely, that's well done. Now, the blade on it is a flat grind here, not particularly thin behind the edge, so it's not going to be a great slicer. It's going to be all right, but it's not a nice, like a full flat grind. It's not that. It's a saber grind with a short flat grind to the terminus. Takes an absolutely wicked edge like most S30V. I love S30V, so that's okay. There's one thing on it that I don't particularly like, and I've mentioned it in my other knives, is down at the choil here. I like a knife when I'm holding it, that I can bring this down and it's not going to cut me if it accidentally closed. Now, these knives, I just never had that problem. They don't accidentally close. It's usually bad knifemanship. Now, I am guilty of that, but I like it so that it doesn't actually close. This will close on you and cut you. So it probably puts quite a few people off, or maybe those who are a wee bit careless have been cut by it. I can understand that. If I can show you, let me show you another knife here now. Right, here. Here's my Hinderer, which is another slip joint. When I'm holding that back here, now I'm not holding it up at the forward choil, that will definitely stop it coming down. But here's the back choil. When I close my Hinderer, there you are. It will not cut me no matter what I do. I can put as much pressure as I want on that, and it's not going to cut me. So most of the knives that I have will have that in it as part of it. There we go. Here's a GEC. I'm just sort of showing you what I like, and I love when it's there. I can put my finger there. That if it does happen to just close over, I'll maybe get a nip, and that's about it. So I went against my better judgment to get this knife because I knew it didn't have that before I got it, and I knew it was a weak backspring before I got it. When I say weak, it's not weak as in I'm worrying if I follow through it's going to flick forward. It's never going to do that. Never. It's not that weak, but it is weak. And there's no, most knives, I just fell over, I didn't even mean to do that. Most pen knives, again, I'll just take you back to the GEC. This is terrible trying to show it, but they will push themselves back on you. Can you see that? It pushes itself back right to there, and it will still do that. Now, unfortunately, because this backspring is weaker, when you push to there, it will not come back again. It is now free running. That is another little thing that I don't think it would have been a hard thing to fix. Some pen knives don't have this choil that I would rather have the taller choil so you can put your finger up in it. Some don't have that, so you buy by choice. I can't fault them for that, but I do think that this could have been worked a wee bit better so that the spring would have brought it back, and that would have fixed the weak backspring, because you would have had a stronger backspring to get that. Like, that's just there. I can still look. I can take now. It's only just starting to go. No, it's still there. Do you know what I mean? So that's not a great thing. Not a great thing. But again, I'm quite proficient with a pen knife, with a slip joint. That's not going to worry me. I don't believe it's going to close on me. So, something else. This, because it is weak, because it is not as strong as my other knives, I would not class this as a hard use penknife, where I would class this as a hard use. I would class my new Spyderco UKPK as a hard use. Now, I'm saying hard use as a penknife and not as an EDC, fully functioning EDC knife. These, with the blade steel on this S30V, this will cut through anything. It will just work away. But I am quite happy that this would not be used. Well, I wouldn't use it on heavy tasks with wood. Now, that's just my own. I have other knives that I would use. As an EDC knife, this will do everything I need on a daily basis. Cardboard, anything like that, I have not one single problem. In fact, I have carried this more this month than most other knives I've ever carried. So, that's it. So, all in all, there's an awful lot of negatives to a knife that's quite expensive. I think they should drop this below 100 because it is just a first iteration. When they gone back, probably the end of this year, they'll do a review, and I'd say they'll come out with one with a better back spring, and then they could have raised it to the price of other knives because the competition for slip joints at the minute is marvellous. It really is a great competition. Here's another one that's out at the minute. This is the Lion Steel, and this is the Dom version. They do 3 or 4 versions, but I'm going to show you the back spring. See that? Now this is a modern one. We'll come back. It's stiff now. I can quite happily flick that down and know it's not going to land my finger. So the half stop is quite firm, and so is the full closure. The back spring is harder on it. Okay, but it's also got the little bit here in the ricasso where you can get your finger and it'll just pinch you rather than cut you. So there is competition out there. So I think, to be honest, I think they could have kept this under the 100 until they'd figured it out and got it right, because I don't believe Benchmade as a main company would have put this out thinking they had it perfect. I think if they'd probably spent another month or two getting things sorted out, they would have had a better knife, but they didn't. It's out. And I do, it's a safe knife. It's not unsafe. I'm not trying to get this across as an unsafe knife because I've used it and it's not. There's no problem with cutting anything. I don't slice tomatoes very thin, so I don't need a slicey EDC knife. I have got kitchen knives if I want to cut my tomatoes that thin. Do you know what I mean? The blade steel, I mean, there's so many different blade steels out there at the moment, from your M390 in a slip joint to your 440C on a slip joint to your 1095 high carbon steel to 440A that you'll get on Rough Riders. There's so many steels, and to be honest with you, on a slip joint, on an EDC knife, I couldn't care what the steel is. I'm enjoying collecting the different steels, that's different, but on the knife itself, it'll not make any difference to my use of this knife, because I always have a sharpener somewhere close by, or I can find something like a bit of cardboard to sharpen it on. I've no fear to get me through a day. I've no fear of that, and that's the experience that I believe that maybe newcomers, and I keep harping on, and I know if you've been around a long while, you get sick of me saying this, but learn to sharpen your knives, then you're not worried about blade steel. And especially with a little slip joint, learn how to sharpen. Now, when you get the likes of 30V or your M390, you're not worried. That's going to get you through a day. It's not a great worry unless you're an extremely hard user of a penknife. So, I'm going to give you some measurements of the knife first. There's quite a lot of down points there about the knife, but I thought I needed to be honest because I am a bit of a Benchmade fanboy at the minute, and I'm sort of collecting them as I'm going along. And this is probably the one that's got the more glaring faults on it, so I thought I'd be honest and just tell you what they were. So inches 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 3/4 inches. You've got a cutting edge of 2 3/4 inches, which is lovely, and it goes up to just under 3 inches for the full blade. The handle is just under 4 inches, and that in the metric system is, it's about 17 centimeters long, with a blade length of 17.5 roughly, cutting edge of 7 centimeters. So there we go, there's that. Bear in mind I have got the wee bit of, well, it's a thick bit of leather. I actually just ordered that. Now, let's see what this is at already. It's on grams, so it is 64 grams, 2.2 ounces, and that includes a quite thick bit of leather on the end of it. So, in finishing, what do I think of this knife? It's expensive. There is glaring faults that need to be sorted out, and I think the next one will be a better iteration of it. I didn't want to wait anymore, so I went ahead and bought this one. I flippin' love it. I genuinely flipping love it. For all those faults that I pointed out, the micarta handle is just divine. I've never had a micarta handle. It is divine. The whole knife takes apart. You can break this down completely. Unlike the real steel, you see all these screws. That only takes the covers off it. It doesn't break the knife down. You can't do that. The rest is pinned. This you can break down completely. Absolute class. To let people who have maybe not taken or seen how you make a slip joint, they can go inside now and they'll understand the makings of a slip joint. Brilliant. The blade shape. I think I love a clip point, right? I love a clip point. But look at that shape. Look at that. How beautiful is that? How beautiful. CPM S30V and just done the Benchmade way. Just look at that. There's that light stonewash on it. The flats are, you've got the grind coming down this way. It's a stonewashed finish here. Oh, and look at the swedge on it. Just look at that swedge on both sides of the knife. And it says S30V there, and you've just got your butterfly tax symbol there. Yes, it is quite expensive for what it is. Yes, there is faults, but I just love it. I have carried this probably more than most slip joints I've got in my box. And I have quite a few slip joints in my box. It is stunning. I don't care whether you've never had a slip joint before or you're a bit worried. Just get it and learn how to use it because it works tremendously as an EDC. I've had no fear in cutting anything. None. None whatsoever. Even wood. But, you know, just use the right methods to cut. So let me just see. I'm going to turn it around this way because it's just fallen that way. And just to let you see the shape of the handle. Now, sorry, there was one other thing. This little bit here. Why do companies put little pokey bits here? It's just, they must lift the knives and your average person's hand is going to hit that. It's going to hit that. Round it off just a little bit. Now, there's a question I'm going to ask. Has anybody ever ground this down a wee bit just to take that sharp point? Because it is quite sharp. And after a while, if you're doing something, I tend to put my little finger at the back end of it, and that makes it quite comfortable. But if you're forgetting you're holding up there, it will wear at you. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know about micarta. I was going to use the wee Dremel and just do it as it, you know, in situ with the micarta and all. But if anybody has done it, let me know. But there's another wee problem. But they're just insignificant as to the beauty of the knife. It's just lovely. I've never found so many faults with a knife, and yet my recommendation is, yeah, go and buy it. It is a bit dear. It's butterfly tax. That's all it is. That really is all it is. And if you're not, we just have to get used to that because that's just the way they do it. That's just the way they do it. I'm going to get something underneath this wee knife so it sits up for me. There you go. Now I'm going to bring in some. I'd showed you before the lion steel. There's the lion steel and it together. They're nearly the same length. But the handle on the lion steel is more comfortable because it's straight. Do you know what I mean? That's just simple. It's thin, it's thicker. And the other thing I meant to say to you, you see the thinness of this is absolutely lovely. There's the lion steel beside it. Look at the difference in the thickness between the lion steel and the Benchmade. You don't feel this in your pocket. You don't really feel this that much either, but this you definitely don't feel in your pocket. You just drop it, and I put it in a wee slip. If I've got change in all my pocket, I don't want my card getting scuffed or whatever, but it's just beautiful. It really is so thin. So, there's that. What else will it bring you out? I'll bring you out. There's my GEC that we were talking about earlier on. It's got a nice spear point blade. And it is just a little bit, you know, put them to, again, the handle's more efficient because it's straight. And that's the thing about an awful lot of traditional knives. Their handles don't really have a lot of hot spots because they tend not to have these little hooks, except the canoe pattern. But there we go. I can find reasons for everything. Now, what else have I got there? Just to give you. Oh, here, there's my new Spyderco. That's the Spyderco UKPK, which is a bit bigger handle lengthwise, much more comfortable. You got the forward choil on it. It's just a different breed of a knife. The difference in the thickness of the blade, no, they're about the same blade, but just look at the two different shapes and styles of blade. It's just, you know, sometimes you get a knife and you know from the moment you open it that it's going to be a knife that you like. Well, that's what this was. Because I'd seen so many videos and seen so many of the faults that I've just pointed out to you. I've seen people point them out all the way through. But yet, for me, there's not one of them faults, or there's not an accumulation of them that would put me off loving this knife. It's just gorgeous. I'm hoping in the next one they're going to take that little bump off and the stronger back spring. That's all it needs. That's all this knife needs, and maybe a little risen choil. There's plenty of blade on there for a penknife. So, there we go. There is my Benchmade Proper. An absolutely beautiful knife. I'm so glad I got it. I highly recommend it. And don't worry, there will be cheaper knives coming. I'm sorry for those. Well, I'm not sorry, but I've been blessed this last couple of months with nice knives. So you have to show them off. You know, and I have got lots of other budget knives to show. So I'm away for a wee cup of tea. Thank you so much for watching. All the very best. Go out and buy the thing. Bye bye.